some more. Oh, wait, they stopped. Anyway, happy 2020, everyone. Hello, and welcome to Outside the Huddle with OT. I am your host, Dr. O.T. Porter Fisher, the director of the NGFFL's communications, and I am communicating directly with you, our NGFFL family, as we work to compete, connect, and unite. So hopefully everyone is having a fantastic 2020 so far. Month is almost over, but we are ready to kick everything off with our newest Outside the Huddle. Remember, each Outside the Huddle episode features the NGFFL's best and brightest, the city leaders, league members, Hall of Famers, and tonight we have all of those things. This is probably one of the most exciting episodes for me because this is someone who I get to work very closely with, who has inspired a lot of what I do in the NGFFL, and it's our illustrious and fantastic Commissioner, Mr. Thurman Williams. So, because you guys aren't really here for me, without further ado, let us bring in Mr. Thurman Williams. Thurman.
Greetings. Greetings.
How you
Happy
doing?
New Year. I'm fantastic.
Happy New Year.
And yeah, and it's nice to be on the show. I feel like there's a waiting list, and I finally made the list, so I'm honored to be on the OT show.
Yes, you did. You were on the guest list tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for doing this. So, although you're the commissioner and probably the most well-known person in the NGFFL, I think it's still important for you to tell or begin by telling the listeners some of your very storied background with the NGFFL.
Yeah, well, I would probably start like I do with life in general and talk about memorable moments or milestones, right? That's the best way for me to sort of recount how I got to this moment in time. And I've played this back 100 times, like what would my life be if I had not? In 2004, my partner at the time gave me a flyer that said there are a group of folks playing flag football in the park. You should go. I know you love football. So off I went. And it was a small group of us that ended up, this was 2004, and we went to the surf and turf in San Diego. And that was my first exposure to the Gay Flag Football League community of players, which then turned into Atlanta hosting the tournament. So in April then to October, us hosting the tournament, a group of folks that had no idea that Atlanta was even on the docket to host the tournament, and the folks that put in the bid were nowhere to be found. And so we made a decision that we would host the tournament, and that we did. And so that is sort of the beginning of all of this, which because of that experience, right, the socialization, the competition, the challenges that we had at the time, because we clearly were living in a different day and time, and the notion of you being gay and playing football, but let alone hosting a tournament, was something unique and different and not as common or prevalent. We even had to, when we were reserving the field at the time, did not disclose that we were a Gay Flag Football League, and we didn't really think we had to, but we knew that if we did, we probably wouldn't be able to secure the fields. And like the Thursday before the tournament was to kick off, the Thursday before the Friday start, we got an email saying, you can't have this tournament here. We didn't know you were a gay organization. And so you can imagine the angst and how we had to then sort of push back. We had a contract, so therefore you had to allow us to play. And, you know, the best part of the story is at the end of the tournament, the athletic director came up and said, having driven around, I wouldn't even have noticed that this was a gay sporting event. And, you know, for us, we thought, well, sure, we knew that, but we just weren't quite sure what he had in his head, right? He was like, oh, they're going to be kids there. I don't know what he thought we were going to be in gear that, or I don't know what he thought. But net, the end of the story was it really was a different day and a time. And so that experience at the Gay Bowl in 2004 really sort of united the passion for this is where I wanted to be, around this group of friends, playing the sport I love the most. And that's where that same group of friends formed the Atlanta League. And so I oftentimes get a lot of credit because I was the one out there in front. There were so many people touching the growth of the Atlanta League. And so I owe it to them to mention that as well. And then in 2005, we had the pleasure of going to San Diego. We were finalists in the championship game. Unfortunately, we lost to Will Ward and his dangerous quarterbacking skills, the Chicago team. But we made the finals. We're excited. And because of that experience, I ended up at the Gay Games in 2006 in Chicago as a volunteer. Atlanta didn't take a team, but I continue. I wanted to be around the sport. I wanted to be around the folks that I met. So I was soul man running around, filling up, I'll say the Powerade coolers because that's the brand I love. And and running from team to team, filling up the coolers and just engaging and having a wonderful time. And so because of that, I had the opportunity in 2010 to join the board, and Shane Kinkennon. So if you love me, you can thank Shane Kinkennon. If you don't, you can blame Shane Kinkennon. He was the one that recruited me to come to the board, and under his leadership, I was able to learn, but also able to receive the Hall of Fame acknowledgement. So Sid Ziegler was kind enough to nominate me, and in 2011 in Houston, while it has memories for other folks for other reasons, for me it was the Hall of Fame, and it was the second class, and so I was so honored. And now, 9 years later, it means so much more to me, and I probably didn't understand the magnitude of that event at that time, so that was wonderful. Then 2016, I nominated myself for commissioner for NGFFL. I would have never thought that I would be in the spot because I was on the board. I dropped off. Jerry called me back. I was to work short time and get back off, and next thing you know, I'm commissioner, and here I am. And so that's a wonderful and defining moment for me because I would have never even thought I'd be in this position. I just didn't aspire to be commissioner. It's just I enjoy being around the folks in the sport that I was willing to just play and be satisfied. And so as we've advanced, right, from 17 to 2020, all the wonderful things, including the NFL, the New England Patriots, sort of starting the ball rolling from a sponsorship perspective, have really topped it off very nicely. So those are the moments as I think about my time with NGFL and how I got to this point.
Right. So you've spoken to, I believe, what influenced your decisions, right, to be in leadership roles. There was Shane, there was Jared, there was necessity because people were dropping the ball. What qualities, though, do you believe are necessary for leaders in the league, locally and nationally?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and at some point in time, leaders could be operational, they can be visionaries, but at the same time, I think there are a few things that stand out for leaders that I've seen either through folks that I've had the pleasure of working with and or things that I've strived for as a leader myself. So the first thing I always talk about is being a visionary. So can you see the big picture? Can you see the long-term direction and context? Can you be selfless? Can you have tough conversations? Because at some point in time as a leader, people may not like you, and I've seen that on the board several times. People, because of decisions that we've made, I've been sort of given the stink eye. So that's important. You have to have tough conversations to make tough decisions. I also think you have to have high standards of excellence, and I use this at work all the time. Excellence is non-negotiable if you're on my team, right? So I expect that we will live to the truth of being excellent in all that we do. I think you also need to have passion for the work and the cause. So if you're doing it for selfish reasons, I should say, and you want to be on the stage, I think that's the wrong reason. I think you should be thinking about it in terms of what's the long-term vision, why are you passionate about it, and what does it mean to you and the others that you serve? Because you are serving. Let's be real. You're serving, and you need to want to serve. Empathetic. Always say people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. So you have to be able to understand and walk in other people's shoes and have some level of empathy. Influence, being able to gain buy-in and support of the board, but also those that you serve. And then I think you also should be thinking about how you can create trust and harmony and build relationships to support the end game. So those would be a few. I gave you a lot, but those are a few.
You did. I was thinking, like, this is the most thorough answer I've ever received for that question. I asked it of pretty much everyone who I do the podcast with, and no one by far has hit even some of the things that you said, like innovation, visionary. No one said anything like that. So, I mean, it just makes sense that it comes from the commissioner. Of course, you think that way because that's why you are in the position you're in, right? Like, wow, that was a fantastic answer. What task from the NGFFL has forced you to be the most innovative or creative, or is currently forcing you to do so?
I would think about, obviously we have 4 strategic pillars, right? You always, I know the board knows this, it's in everything we communicate, and it's about elevating the gay bowl experience. And so I would say what forces us to be most innovative and creative is the annual event, which we call Gay Bowl. And so first, much love out to Jared, who at the time tasked me with creating a task force to drive change and think about ways in which we can elevate the gay bowl experience, right? It wasn't a strategic pillar, but it was just something we knew we wanted to do. So I think it's important relative to that we find ways to be innovative in how we elevate the gay bowl experience. And that means the divisions. So us moving from 1 division to 2 divisions to 3 divisions to making your own choices, right? You have to be creative because the needs of the league change time after time, right? I don't believe in change for the sake of change, but I do believe that there's an evaluation every year of how things performed and how the experience was for the folks that participated, and then what could we do differently. And so the task force not only focuses on Gay Bowl, but it focuses on broad topics that we think would be important for us to address. So if I talk about where we're required to be most innovative, it's around the Gay Bowl and how we continue to raise the bar relative to that experience for all the folks that get to attend.
Right. And we have, under your leadership, Gay Bowl has become something so fantastic, and so, like, the enormity of it at this point is unparalleled to its past. So that's yours. That is part of your legacy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we can all be proud of. And so I think because everyone brings their true selves to that tournament, right? Their time, their energy, their level of service. And so while it was important for me, I believe that others felt it was important, right? Because to me, the Gay Bowl was always about, when I was a city leader, it was always about an opportunity. I wanted to win, true, but it was always about an opportunity to build and expand the league in which existed back home. I wanted that energy to go back home, foster, drop the seeds, and watch it grow. So that to me was really, really important. And so as the commissioner, it's one of the things and reasons why I really want that experience for first-timers, for 10th-timers to really be impactful, because I want people to go back and continue to be passionate and bring more people into the tent.
Truth. So in thinking about innovation, creation, and all you have accomplished so far, is there something that you tried that just didn't turn out how you wanted and it still sort of haunts you?
Yes.
Do tell.
As a lead, as a leader, there's probably always things that are in your head that you just, I wake up days and not only for work, but I'm thinking about football. And I sat here on Martin Luther King Day. That was my day of service, was sitting here continuing to think about NGFL and what 2020 will be and how we get ready for the retreat and all the various things that face us in the given year. And so what haunts me most is probably partnerships and sponsorships, right? Ever since I've been on the board, that's been a hot topic. It's been the thing that we feel would really sort of lift all of us up. And while we've made significant progress, right? The NGFL, it can't get any better than that. I hope it can, but it can't get any better than that. But I still think there are opportunities for us at a national level to drive partnerships that can cascade to the folks at the local level and that they can benefit from that. And so we have tried, various people in the roles. We had reached out and had a third party come to the table last year. And so for me, that is still an opportunity that has not been solved to the degree in which I believe it can be.
Mm-hmm. So moving forward, 2020, new decade, lots of exciting things happening. The tournament is leaving the continental United States for the first time. What do you want to accomplish for the NGFFL in 2020?
2020, right, new decade. And so, hey, we have a 3-year vision. Our vision, I've talked about the pillars: elevate the gay boy experience, drive membership growth in leagues, give back more than we take, develop national partnerships. So we spend our time every year thinking about ways in which we can deliver against the promise of those strategic pillars, right? So it's going to be the same: living to the mission and vision, right? Being inclusive, creating the greatest place for LGBTQ plus athletes to play this game called American flag football. But it will continue to be about building the brand love. So you'll see us in 2020 come out with a bold new look and feel for NGFL and the Gay Bowl tournaments. It's going to be creating value for the league and board members in the city. So how can we continue through the great work that Timothy Winter's doing, drive conversation, dialogue around opportunities and best sharing practices so that every league becomes the San Diegos, the DCs of the world, right? Large, big, bold, full of talent, and Boston giving back, right? And then how can we continue to celebrate cities and members? I do believe that it's important. There are a lot of folks doing a lot of great things. And so in the community, how can we continue to celebrate those people and acknowledge the great work that they're doing? How do we continue to advance our role with partnerships? Can we leverage the great work that you did with NFL Films to drive partnerships beyond what we have today? Can we document the history of NGFFL, right? We're going to head into our 20th anniversary, right? So 2002 is when the first tournament started, right? And so you had years where you had 2 years of tournaments being played, so people get confused. But 2022 is going to be the big one. And then more importantly, can we get more leagues? Can we get more leagues? Can we get more people to want to start a league and do some of the great things that have been done in Providence with Dwayne, in Minnesota, and in Seattle and Portland, right? Can we get those folks to do the same thing? So a lot of big ideas, but it's not me alone.
Yeah.
It's not me alone. It's a great board, and so I'm grateful.
That is a fantastic board. I tell people constantly, like, how lucky I am to be on the board with the people that I am currently on that board with, because there is no possible way that all those alpha personalities work together except under your leadership. So we all thank you for that. So
we have our days,
let's
right?
Get
but I
to,
love it.
yeah, we do. Those board meetings are always something. Um, let's get to a topic that's near and dear to my heart: women's inclusion. Talk to me about the importance of women in the present and future of the NGFFL.
Absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. And when you think about the value that has come from the inclusion of the women as part of the family of NGFFL, you cannot deny that it is absolutely necessary that we go harder, bolder, and bigger. And so under Leslie's leadership, we have seen the participation of our women in the game and the sport increase, the tournament increase, the engagement has increased. And so we have more work to do, but I'm confident that we have planted all the right seeds, and we're going to see the benefit of Leslie's work and all those city leaders who have made it a priority, that we will continue to see our women expand. And, you know, I have to give a shout out to the women of DC, because I had the opportunity to go to sort of a town hall, and it was really about the league, but it also turned into the experience around Gabo. And so what came out of that session, and the emotions and sort of the call to action for the board, and what we took back and spent a lot of time at the retreat trying to think about and think through, resulted in some really significant changes in New York. And so I think, and I feel, we continue to see that level of engagement and participation will increase year over year. So I'm excited. We have women referees, an increase in women referees. And so, hey, everybody wants to be around people that look and feel and that look like you, understand you. And so our ability to be inclusive is important.
Yes. All right. So I got a couple hard questions for you. Rumor has it this is the last time you will be commissioner, and you are not seeking re-election. Any truth to that?
That is a true statement, and you know, I get emotional thinking about it, because wow, it has been such a big part of my life over the last 16 years, and so as I contemplate, is it the right thing to do? I struggle, but I also believe that you need change in leadership. I do believe in term limits, so to speak. And, you know, I think that any great leader, if they're worth a grain of salt, has sort of created a foundation that should be able to catapult it and sustain itself when you're not there. And so I'm confident that the work that's been done and the people that will be on the board will continue to do great things and greater things than I've done. And so I will allow myself to step aside, because I do think at any given time you want fresh ideas, you want new thoughts, you want people to come in and disrupt what you've created, because I think with disruption comes change. And so, yes, I will sort of anticipate Ty will throw me a great party in Hawaii. I hope everyone can come, because I've received nothing but love. And so it will be an emotional farewell for me.
Yeah. Well, like you said, you've built a solid foundation. My next question is probably harder and worse, because I'm who I am. Are you personally going to be endorsing a successor?
I tend not to endorse, only because I think that as a commissioner, you may have more weight than other folks, right? People may value your opinion. And so I will answer questions. I will speak truthfully because I want everyone to have a fair chance. And I also believe that allows for an opportunity because, look, I'd never had any expectations or any aspirations, I should say, of being commissioner. I didn't even think about it. But at the time, the timing was right, and I had been on the board and I had a vision. So I'm hoping that whoever it is has a vision, and that vision can be articulated and shared with the broader audience that they buy into the vision. And so I will answer questions about the leadership style of anyone that I'm familiar with that's running, and I will answer any questions about the authenticity of their purpose, and I will kindly support whoever the city leaders at the end of the day decide is the right person. There are capable people on the board. There are capable people I know out in the leagues who have an interest. I just hope that it's someone that's been in a leadership role before, understands the magnitude of what they're stepping into. They have a vision, a purpose, and it's about a selfless act, and they have a sincerity around why they want to do it. And so if all of those things are there, people will care less about what I have to say or who I can endorse. They'll be more sort of excited about the possibilities because a vision has been articulated that they believe in.
You answered that question almost exactly how I expected. I just want to say that. I've been around you long enough that I knew that answer was coming.
I struggle, right? Because, I just struggle with that one, but that's how I feel. So, no shade to anybody else. But.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best way to do it because, like you said, and for those people who don't know you maybe as well as I feel like I know you, this is exactly how you are in board decisions. Like when we have to vote on something, you're always last to vote. You always withhold your opinion until the end. You never want to influence what anyone else is going to do. And I admire that. I think that's brilliant and smart because I'm the first person to speak up. I always have to have input, but I've learned from you to sort of stand back and wait because I also am starting to recognize the gravity of my influence. And so, I thank you for that because I was always one to say, oh, no, here's my opinion, not recognizing like, yes, sir, you have influence on people. People listen to you. So maybe take a step back and wait, and you always do that. So that's why I knew that question. That's why I knew that answer was coming.
Damn it, you know me too well.
So as we get closer to wrapping up, some easier, more fun questions. What would you like your legacy to be as commissioner?
Wow. I'd like my legacy to be that the NGFL has continued to thrive, that we did some remarkable things relative to, I think, really clearly honing in and defining a strategy and a vision over time that we could then filter out any noise and get really clear about what we wanted to go do. And so the legacy to me is all around three words: compete, connect, unite. So create an environment in which people can come and compete at the highest levels, or they can come compete and have fun in a place, in a space that is safe, is really important to me and has been important to me. The fact that people can come together and connect on a personal level, for as much as we are alike, we're all very different. And then so finding someone that has some uniqueness about them that is similar to you, I think means everything. And then to unite. I have been adamant about, if you give back, prosperity will come your way. And so I honestly believe that focusing on the Commissioner's Cup and personally committing to a financial contribution, because I want people to be thinking about that as part of our mission and our reason for being, because when we do that, great things will happen for us. And so if I can have a legacy, that will be it. That while we're in the position of giving as a board and all the work we do in our local leagues, giving back to the communities we serve will only strengthen and create greater prosperity for this league. And so there's no doubt in my mind, for all the great things that we've done and the focus we put on this, that's why the NFL came our way. That's why NFL Films came and told that story. That's why Boston continues to thrive, because they are, to me, best in class in what they do. And so we're all doing it now, and that will be what attracts those partnerships that come our way, but also even the greater things that will happen over the long term.
Okay. Tell me your most memorable moment as a commissioner, or one of, if you can't remember the most.
Wow. I would say one of the most memorable moments is the first board retreat, because, as a leader, it's taken an idea, concept, right, that I did even as Commissioner of Atlanta, is taking time to really just get in the weeds and think about your role and purpose. To me, that's a memorable moment. The NFL Films comes to mind immediately because of all that it meant and the excitement that it brought to the folks that attended, and then the excitement that it brought to folks that got to watch it. That, to me, is a memorable moment. The hugs, the Sunday night, those are memorable moments, right?
Yes.
Thursday arrivals, Sunday nights. Those are the memorable moments, because it reminds us why we all come together, and the joy and the excitement and the passion and the fun, and also playing on the field, right? I mean, I've been removed for a couple of years, but the notion that you come and compete, to me, like the camaraderie of the team and all the work you do to get there, and then, the defeats, the victories, holding up the trophy, whether it's A, B, or C. It might be D one day. I don't know. I hope not, but it might be D one day. But, and seeing the Hall of Fame nominations and the awards, and those to me are all the memorable moments that stand out. So I have so many, but I know you asked for one, and as you can see, sometimes I may extend beyond that, but those to me are memorable moments, and the friendships, right? Oh my gosh, from the first days with Ty to all the wonderful people I've met along the way. Man, I can't tell you how much it's meant to me. And so, and even the boys I've met along the way, those are memorable moments. So I'm grateful for all of them.
Yeah, it's very similar here. Thurman, is there anything or any topic that we haven't covered that you believe the listeners should know about?
The only thing I would say listeners should know about is that I am grateful. I'm grateful for the support over the years. I'm grateful for the folks who have allowed us to drive a lot of change. They've allowed us to advance in ways that may or may not have been as popular. But at the end of the day, I think everyone has had an opportunity to be part of something great. And so each of us is critically important and the roles that we play. And for those that we've lost along the way, I think let's be mindful of the time we had with those folks, because it just brings back to my mind, we just lost someone, Michael Snowden. And so what I want listeners to know is that if you're struggling with something, this is the family you want to be in, because you got folks who will lift you up. And so reach out.
True.
And if you know there are folks who are struggling, I want you to reach out. And so family is everything, and for a lot of folks, this is our family. And so what I would say is I want people to know that the NGFFL is a great place to be, not only because of the sports, right? We all love it, and we all are committed to winning, but it is much more than that. So thank you for asking that question.
Well, Thurman, thank you for being a part of this entire thing. This was fantastic. It's definitely the best interview I've done in 2020. So it might it might be.
I was going to say, do not offend anybody, OT. Thank you. I'm glad. They've all been great. They've all been great.
Yeah, all the ones from 2020. Yeah, no, they've all been.
Yeah.
I am so happy with this podcast. I really enjoyed doing this. So, and also that's a part of one of the things that you did. You pushed me to try to innovate. You said, what can you provide that hasn't been done before? And this was one of the things that I came up with. So, I've been grateful to have two really big moments under your leadership, which was this podcast and NFL Films. So I'm so grateful. But that's it. So we're going to go ahead and close out. Thank you for joining me, Thurman. Thank all of you for listening to Outside the Huddle. Remember that each episode is available in the NGFFL monthly newsletter, the 2-Minute Drill, and on our YouTube channel. So if you enjoyed the episode, please share it on social media with the hashtag NGFFL. Leave comments on our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube pages, everywhere you possibly can. And until next time when we meet, be kind to yourself and be kind to everyone else that you encounter as we compete, connect, and unite in the NGFFL. Have a good night, everyone.